The Legend of the Thunder Oak. Traditional German folk tale, based on Vita Bonifaciae, 8th century. In the land of Hesse, where the dark forests of Germania stretched endlessly beneath heavy skies, there stood an oak tree of such immense proportions that its branches seemed to brush the realm of the gods themselves. The people called it Donner's Oak, the Thunder Oak, for it was sacred to Donner, whom the Romans knew as Thor, the god of thunder and lightning, who wielded his mighty hammer across the heavens. For countless generations, the Germanic tribes had gathered beneath its sprawling canopy to offer sacrifices and seek the favor of their storm god. The oak's trunk was so vast that 10 men linking arms could barely encircle it, and its roots delved deep into the earth like the fingers of an ancient giant grasping the very bones of the world. In the year 723, a man came walking through those forests, a stranger from distant lands across the sea. His name was Boniface, and he had been born Winfrith in the kingdom of Wessex, in the misty Isle the Anglo-Saxons called home. Now he walked as a missionary, carrying neither sword nor shield, but only the wooden cross that hung upon his chest, and the fierce conviction burning in his heart. Word of his coming spread through the villages like wildfire.
The foreign priest approaches.
The people whispered,
He seeks to turn us from the old ways, to make us abandon Donner and Wotan, Freya and all the gods who have protected our ancestors since time beyond memory.
When Boniface reached the sacred grove at Geismar, he found a great multitude assembled, hundreds of men, women, and children, their faces painted with the old symbols, their voices rising in ancient chants. At the center stood the Thunder Oak, its gnarled bark scarred by generations of ritual blades. Its lowest branches hung with offerings, iron weapons, golden torques, strips of cloth bearing protective runes. The high priest stepped forward, his white beard flowing like a waterfall, his staff carved with serpents and ravens.
Turn back, stranger,
He commanded, his voice carrying the weight of authority passed down through countless generations.
This is Donner's Oak. Any who dare raise blade against it shall be struck down by lightning from the sky. The thunder god protects his own.
A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. Children clutched their mothers' skirts, and hardened warriors gripped the hilts of their swords, ready to defend their sacred tree. But Boniface did not turn back. He stood at the base of the great oak and raised his voice so all could hear.
You honor this tree as if it held the power of the divine.
He called out,
You offer it your treasure, your prayers, your very lives. But I tell you, it is only wood, mighty wood, ancient wood, but wood nonetheless. The true God, the creator of heaven and earth, dwells not in trees of oak, but in every human heart that opens to his love.
The priest raised his staff high.
Then let your God protect you, foreigner. Strike at the Thunder Oak, and Donner shall show his wrath.
The crowd pressed closer, some jeering, others praying, all waiting to see what would happen when mortal steel met divine wood. Boniface knelt briefly in prayer. His lips moved silently, and those nearest saw his hand tremble, not with fear, they would later swear, but with the weight of what he was about to do. Then he rose, took up an axe borrowed from a local woodcutter, and approached the Thunder Oak. He swung the axe. Once, twice. The blade bit into the ancient bark, sending a shudder through the massive trunk. The crowd gasped. Mothers pulled their children close. Warriors lifted their eyes to the sky, expecting at any moment to see storm clouds gathering, to hear the rumble of Donner's chariot wheels across the heavens, to feel the searing heat of lightning striking down the blasphemer. But the sky remained clear.
Where is your thunder god?
Boniface asked softly, his voice somehow carrying to every ear.
Where is the lightning? The divine wrath you promised. The oak has fallen, and the heavens remain silent. Not because the gods are asleep or distant, but because this tree held no divine power. It was you, your faith, your love, your search for the sacred, that held power. And that power need not be given to wood or stone, but to the God who created all things and loves you more than you can fathom.
One by one, the people came forward. They touched the fallen oak in wonder, running their hands over the 4 perfect sections. Some said the pieces formed the shape of a cross. Others said they saw in the pattern a sign from heaven itself. The high priest was among the first to kneel before Boniface.
Teach us.
He said simply. In the days that followed, Boniface and the converted people took the wood of the fallen oak and built a chapel, dedicating it to Saint Peter, the fisherman apostle who had also been called to bring the faith to distant lands. The chapel stood for generations, a testament to the day the old ways yielded to the new, not through violence or conquest, but through courage, faith, and a miracle witnessed by hundreds. And though the thunder oak was gone, the story lived on. Parents told it to children, and those children grew up to tell it to their own. They spoke of the day Donner fell silent, the day heaven itself reached down to touch the earth, the day an old tree died so that a new faith could take root in German soil. Some say that on stormy nights, when thunder rolls across the hills of Hesse and lightning splits the sky, you can still hear the echo of that ancient oak's fall. Not a sound of defeat, but a reminder that even the mightiest things must sometimes yield to the irresistible force of transformation and the eternal persistence of faith. The chapel built from the thunder oaks would eventually crumble with age, as all things do. But from the monastery that rose in its place, missionaries went forth to spread the gospel throughout the Germanic lands. And in every church they built, in every cross they raised, the spirit of that moment in the grove at Geismar lived on. The moment when one man's courage and an entire people's openness to wonder changed the course of history. Today, the story of Saint Boniface and Donner's Oak is remembered as a pivotal moment in the Christianization of Germanic Europe. The oaks felling near the modern town of Fritzlar, Germany, symbolizes the peaceful transition from pagan to Christian traditions. Many Christmas customs in Germany, such as the Christmas tree itself, echo this ancient connection between sacred trees and spiritual devotion, a blending of old reverence for nature with new expressions of faith.